Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to my review of Lucha Underground Season 4, Episode 4, called Pain, Love, and Sacrifice to the Gods. And I gotta say, this episode of Lucha Underground, I thought it was a mixed bag of a show, of an episode, where we had four matches. Two of them were just squash matches, and the other two were entertaining. And I really enjoyed two of the four matches on this episode. But the episode opened up. We got a video package on the history between Katrina and Phoenix. And how Katrina's been looking for Phoenix's life force so that she will no longer be stuck in between the two worlds. And it leads to highlights from previous episodes. They end up showing Phoenix losing the casket match last week, and Katrina ended up arriving afterwards, and she ended up kissing Phoenix. And to steal Phoenix's life force. And she then meets up with Melissa Santos, who is grieving for Phoenix. She ends up telling Melissa that Phoenix is never coming back, and that he gave his life to the woman that truly loved him. And Katrina then gives Melissa the part of the medallion that kept her alive previously. So that was the opening to the episode, and it was a good opening to the episode. And then we had the first match. We had Jake Strong, aka Jack Swagger, versus Big Bad Steve. And this was a squash match, total squash match. Strong dominated through the entire match. Big Bad Steve was wasted. Jake Strong ended up winning the match by putting Big Bad Steve in the ankle lock. Big Bad Steve ended up tapping out. So Jake Strong ends up winning the match, and they're just doing this, because they continue, to position, Strong, aka Swagger, as a player for the rest of this season, going into the rest of the season, and that's pretty good. I like to see Strong, have a match, for Lucha Underground Championship. If they do it, towards the end of the season, I think Strong is a really good player, position for a player for this season. And then after the match, we had Strong end up. He wasn't finished with Big Bad Steve, just yet. He ended up powerbombing Big Bad Steve on the floor, walking off. This was just him trying to make a statement. So, but match itself, it was just a squash match. Just Jake Strong, Swagger, was just dominating through the match. And then when Lucha Underground came back from commercial, we saw Antonio Cueto. He meets up with King Cuerno. We saw Antonio drinking a beer. He also brings up that Cuerno, about him having the gauntlet. King Cuerno says, it was stolen, and he doesn't know where it is. And Antonio ends up telling him that the gauntlet is dangerous and can make the person wearing it into a god. And Antonio says, only gods know if Cuerno is telling the truth. And so Antonio offers King Cuerno a chance to win the Ancient Aztec Medallion tonight against Chavo Guerrero. And so in comes Cage. He says, what he did to Pentagon Dark last week, and he ends up wanting to finish the job, with Pentagon Dark. And Antonio says, that attacking the champion, attacking Pentagon, doesn't promise, Cage a title match. And so Antonio offers Cage a chance to win a medallion next week against Mil Muertes. So, and then we saw, Cage is fine with this. So this is going to be a good match for next week. Cage versus Mil Muertes. These two are going to go to war with each other, and I can't wait to see it. It's going to be hopefully a really good match, a very entertaining match. Sorry about that, but I was saying, Cage versus Mil Muertes. That's going to be a good match to see. So, but all in all, it was a good, scene with them. Then we had the husband and wife, Johnny Mundo and Taya versus Daga and Cobra Moon. Of course, the Worldwide Underground, wants to go to war with the Reptile Tribe. And this was a solid match. It was an entertaining match. It was a back and forth match. We had Taya and Daga started off. And we saw later on in the match, Daga ended up causing confusion in the match. Mundo ended up super kicking Taya by accident. Cobra Moon ended up, being tagged in. Mundo, Cobra Moon ends up laying a knee strike. PJ Black gets involved in the match, kicks Cobra Moon in the back of the head, which gave Taya the chance to hit the curb stomp for the win. So Taya and Johnny Mundo win the match thanks to PJ Black. And after the match, Vibora ends up coming out and he attacks the Worldwide Underground. Ends up attacking, of course, PJ Black, Taya, and Mundo. He ends up, hitting super kicks. He ends up hitting a choke slam on Johnny Mundo. End up hitting a cannonball to Taya, which was originally meant for Johnny Mundo, but Mundo ended up moving out of the way. And that's when, after that, Mundo thought he was in the clear, but Vibora ended up choke slamming him, and he ended up stacking PJ Black and Taya up, and Cobra Moon ended up coming on the mic and saying to Mundo that she will make the Worldwide Underground worship her, and that this feud between the Worldwide Underground and the Reptile Tribe, their feud must continue. So that ended up happening after the match. So, but all in all, Taya and Johnny Mundo versus Daga and Cobra Moon, solid match, back and forth match. It was entertaining. Then we had Antonio Cueto ended up meeting up with his son Matanza, who we saw was killing someone in his torture chamber that was below the building, below the temple. And Antonio ends up telling Matanza that it's time for his first sacrifice. So then we had Matanza versus Mr Pectacular. This was another squash match that lasted only 40 seconds. And Matanza, before the match even started, Mr. Pectacular was in the ring. Antonio Cueto says that this may be Mr. Pectacular's last appearance. And Antonio Cueto announces a sacrifice to the gods match, which Matanza ended up arriving, and the match went on from there. Mr. Pectacular was just hit a drop kick, and he was just posing. Matanza then hits a German suplex on Mr. Pectacular, and pretty much that was it. Matanza won the match. It was a squash match. Nothing good happened in this match. Nothing amazing. And after the match was over with, we saw Matanza end up raising his arms. Lightning then flashed, and we saw Mr. Pectacular disappear. So pretty much that's basically what happened after the match, which I thought, the lightning flashes, I thought that was the only best part that happened after the match. So then we had the main event, King Cuerno versus Chavo Guerrero. This was for an ancient Aztec medallion, and this was a good match. This was an average match. It was very entertaining. It was back and forth between King Cuerno and Chavo Guerrero. What was really cool was Chavo ended up grabbing the ref towards like the end of the match. He grabbed the ref, and he then hit the rolling suplexes, in honor of the late great Eddie Guerrero. And King Cuerno actually countered, because Chavo Guerrero was going to go for the third suplex, but King Cuerno, I mispronouncing his name, but if I'm pronouncing his last name right, let me know. But he actually countered it into a win. So King Cuerno wins the match. So now for the two people that hold the ancient Aztec medallions are El Dragon Azteca Jr. and King Cuerno. So that's only 2 of the 7 ancient Aztec medallions. So, but this match, as much as I would have liked to see Chavo Guerrero win the match, you gotta admit the right man won. King Cuerno won. So, as much as Matt Striker wants to desperately sell his best on commentary, for to think that Chavo Guerrero is a legend, but like I said, the right man won. So we'd like to see where they go with this. For who's going to be the third one to hold the ancient Aztec medallion. Will it be Cage or Mil Muertes? We have to wait next week and see. But if I were to choose, I would have to go with Cage, because he looks, he's a powerhouse. He's a powerhouse in the ring, as we saw, in last season of Lucha on the Ground, where he had the gauntlet. So my pick has to go with Cage to win the third ancient Aztec medallion. So, but all in all, King Cuerno versus Chavo Guerrero was an average match, and it was a very entertaining match. So, and that's how Lucha on the Ground ended. There was no ending scene for this episode. So yeah. So anyways, that's it for my review of Lucha on the Ground Season 4, Episode 4. The episode called Pain, Love, and Sacrifice to the Gods. Thank you all for watching. And be sure to give this video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And until the next video, I'll see you all later.